Hey, Steve Horvath here. I want to talk to you about something today that, well, not a lot of people are talking about. Well, not in public because they think you're all nuts. But let's talk about some of the ABCs of survival. Now, nobody wants to think about this, but here's the deal. You could have a flood, a hurricane, snowstorm. It doesn't have to be an SHTF. Okay, you don't know what that means, do you? Okay. SHTF means shit hits the fan. Okay? That's a big emergency. Overthrowing the government, but I'm not talking about that. Well, privately I am, but not really. Okay? So, now, ABCs of survival. Let's start with A. For me, the A is arms and ammunition. Because without ammunition, them arms ain't going to do you any good. Now, I'm not talking about going out and fighting a war, okay? Because you're not equipped to fight a war, and I'm not equipped to fight a war. But let's just say we go for a nice vacation at a cabin somewhere, and we get snowed in. Well, the two things that I would want to have is water, and if we got snow, we can melt plenty of snow. Just don't eat the yellow stuff, okay? The yellow stuff is not good, okay? Now, the other thing I need is something to eat. Look at the size of me. I eat regularly, and I plan on still eating regularly if I get stuck in a situation. So, a lot of people think, well, I got a gun with me. I'm going to bring a big gun. I'm going to shoot me a deer. You don't need to shoot a deer to eat for a day. Probably the two most underrated weapons or arms that you could have for survival is a .22 caliber rifle or pistol or a .177 caliber pellet gun. Because believe me, all you need to do is pop a couple of them cute little squirrels or little bunnies out there hopping around, and you got dinner. The other nice thing is it doesn't take a whole lot of room to have ammunition with you. For instance, this is what you would call basically a brick of .22 long rifle ammunition. Okay? Goes for about $35. In that brick, oh man, I got an itch. Okay. In that brick, there's 500 rounds. Do you know how many squirrels or bunnies or pigeons or whatever you can eat for 500 rounds? Okay? If you're a good shot, say you 3 for 5. Okay? 3 for 5, that's average. 3 for 5 gets you 300 squirrels out of 500 shots for $34.95. $35, let's say. Now, the other deal is if you have a .177 caliber pellet gun in this wee teeny little tin here, okay, there are 250 pellets, and let's say for $5 you can get 250 pellets. That's 2 cents a shot. Which means not only can you afford to buy a lot more ammo than the .22, but you can practice, so you can go a lot better than that 3 out of 5 average. Now, as you can see, we're not talking about a zombie apocalypse. We're not talking about Clinton getting into the White House. We're not even talking about World War III. All we're talking about is basics. And if somebody is ready for basic situations, they can not only survive, but they can have comfort and some squirrel stew. Hey, I'm your survival guy, Steve Horvath.